How would you build an NFL player?
Yeah, here we go! Yeah, here we go!
If you are building a quarterback, you would probably make him 6 feet 5 inches tall, 220 pounds with a strong arm and a brain that quickly reads defenses. Your defensive end would be 6 feet 4 inches, 260 pounds with a combination of strength and speed to quickly get into the backfield to sack your 6 foot 5 inch quarterback. What would your running back look like? For over 30 years, the average NFL running back has been 5 feet 10 inches tall, 213 pounds, and runs the 40-yard dash in 4.47 seconds. Of course, some running backs are bigger, like Hall of Fame running back Jerome Bettis. Some are smaller, like Barry Sanders. But there is one running back who really doesn't fit the mold, and he broke the mold all at the same time. Number 43, Darren Sproles. At 5 foot 6 inches and 196 pounds, Sproles was shorter and lighter than other running backs in the NFL, but he was just as fast, if not faster than them as well. He finished his 14-year career as number 5 on the NFL's all-time purpose yards list. He now sits at number 6 after Frank Gore retired with just a few more yards than Darren. All-purpose yards include yards gained from rushing, receiving, kick returns, and punt returns. Darren Sproles could do it all. He was given the nickname Tank as a small child because he was a 10-pound baby. He's also been called Mighty Mouse. And the San Diego Chargers announcers called him the Lightning Bug. Sproles grew up in Olathe, Kansas, and was an excellent athlete. Sproles was a high school All-American in football and was a highly ranked track star at Kansas for the 100 and 200-meter dash. He went to nearby Kansas State University on a football scholarship, where he was a dynamic running back, finishing with over 1,400 yards and 17 touchdowns in his sophomore season. His junior year was even better. Sproles rushed for 1,986 yards and 16 touchdowns. He led the nation in rushing yards and finished 5th in the Heisman Trophy voting. He also had 235 rushing yards and 88 receiving yards, and scored a receiving touchdown against number 1 Oklahoma in the Big 12 championship game, where Mighty Mouse led Kansas State to a 35-7 win. Despite graduating in 3 years with a speech pathology degree, he returned to school to play his senior season. Sproles rushed for over 1,300 yards and 11 touchdowns in his final year as a Kansas State Wildcat. Mighty Mouse finished his college career at number 11 on the all-time rushing yards list and number 6 for all-purpose yards. Sproles entered the NFL draft and attended the Combine in Indianapolis when he ran the 40-yard dash in 4.46 seconds. NFL teams liked him. They knew how good he was in college and they liked his speed, but they were leery of his height or lack thereof. While it may have cut it in college ball, could a 5'6" running back really make it in the NFL? One NFL general manager said at the time, if Sproles were 6 feet tall, then he would have been a first-round pick. Despite his size, one team took the chance and drafted him number 43. Sproles and the San Diego Chargers signed a 4-year contract worth $1.77 million. The average first-round pick that year made $1.7 million for each year. This difference between first round and fourth round was about $1 million. His height cost him at the beginning of his career, but he was just getting started. In 2005, Sproles was the third-string running back in his rookie year, playing behind LaDainian Tomlinson and Michael Turner. Sproles would not be used as an every-down back, but he was the Chargers' primary kick and punt returner. The 2006 season was difficult for Sproles, breaking his ankle during the preseason and spending the entire year on injured reserve. While not getting to play the entire season was devastating, he knew he was still only at the beginning of his career. In 2007, Sproles came roaring back off the bench and started to make his mark on the league. In a game against Peyton Manning's Indianapolis Colts, Mighty Mouse scored touchdowns on a kick return and a punt return. He was the first NFL player to have both in the same game.
He's going to go all the way to the end zone for a touchdown.
Later that season against the Detroit Lions, Sproles scored his first rushing touchdown on a 1-yard run. He then got another rushing touchdown that game from 11 yards out. The Chargers made the playoffs, where they would again face off against Manning and the Colts. Sproles was the nail in the coffin for Indianapolis and ended their season by scoring a touchdown on a 56-yard reception late in the third quarter. They would then go on to lose to New England in the AFC Championship game, but Sproles had proved his worth to the league and to the San Diego Chargers. Sproles started the 2008 season just as strong. He is the second player in NFL history to rush for 50 yards, have 50 yards receiving, and to have 100 return yards in one game. In fact, he almost had 200 return yards, ending the game with 192 yards in returns. This pocket-sized running back finished the regular season with 1 rushing touchdown, 5 receiving touchdowns, and a kick return touchdown. In the wild card round of the playoffs, Sproles had another great game against the Colts. He had 328 all-purpose yards and 2 rushing touchdowns, including the game winner in overtime. San Diego lost in the divisional round to Pittsburgh, but Sproles played well and had a 62-yard receiving touchdown. Prior to the 2009 season, Sproles signed a $6.6 million contract and proved his worth by gaining over 2,300 all-purpose yards and scoring a total of 8 touchdowns. His height was never a problem. His 5'6" frame gave him a low center of gravity and he was very fast. Being short was actually an advantage because it was hard for the defenders to see Sproles behind his blockers. The 2010 season was more of the same as he gained over 2,200 all-purpose yards and 2 touchdowns. But 2011 was different. The 2011 season took Darren Sproles to a new city and a new team. He signed a $14 million contract with the New Orleans Saints, which included $6 million in guaranteed money. His salary was now matching his skills, not his stature as it had in San Diego. Against the Packers that season, he scored touchdowns on 2 punt returns plus another 75 yards of reception, giving him 257 all-purpose yards. That season, Sproles broke the 1,000 all-purpose yard mark by his 7th game. In the last regular season game, he set the NFL record of 2,696 all-purpose yards, a record that still stands today. In 2012, he only played in 13 games due to a broken hand, however still managed to gain 1,577 all-purpose yards and scored 8 touchdowns on offense without playing a full season, proving himself to his new city and to the league. The 2013 season would be his last year with New Orleans. Sproles gained 1,198 yards and scored 4 offensive touchdowns. In 2014, Sproles was traded to the Philadelphia Eagles for a 5th-round draft pick. In a Monday night game, Sproles continued his role as a nightmare for the Colts. Sproles scored a rushing touchdown and had 7 receptions for 152 yards, including 2 that were over 50 yards each. He played well and was finally rewarded with his first Pro Bowl selection, and he also made the second-team All-Pro at the end of the season. In 2015, Sproles was able to play several games at running back due to injuries and ineffectiveness of DeMarco Murray and Ryan Matthews. Against the 10-1 Patriots, he gained 100 yards of offense and 115 yards of punt returns, including a touchdown, leading Philly to a stunning upset win. At the end of the season, Sproles had earned a second trip to the Pro Bowl and was voted as a first-team All-Pro. In 2016, the Eagles struggled at the running back position, and as the season progressed, head coach Doug Peterson named Sproles the starting running back. Number 43 had another stellar season despite his stature, and he was voted to his 3rd straight Pro Bowl. The 2017 season, though, would be a speed bump for the 3-time Pro Bowler. During a game against the New York Giants, he broke his arm and tore his ACL on the same play in Week 3 while being tackled by the Giants' defense. He was put on injured reserve and missed the rest of the season, including the Eagles' first ever Super Bowl victory over Tom Brady and the New England Patriots. Sproles signed a 1-year contract with Philadelphia for the 2018 season, but he pulled a hamstring in practice before the second game. He only played 6 games, scoring 3 offensive touchdowns. Not wanting to end his career in an injury-shortened season, Sproles signed another 1-year contract with the Eagles. He moved into 5th place on the all-purpose yards list in Week 5 against the New York Jets, passing Tim Brown. But injuries continued and he could only play in 6 games before being put on the injured reserve list again. In December, Sproles announced that he would retire from the NFL after 14 seasons. Despite not having the classic build for an NFL running back, Sproles proved to skeptics and fans alike that he could play 3 phases of the game: rushing, receiving, and returns, as well as anyone ever has. He doesn't play anymore, but Darren Sproles did not leave the game of football. He now works for the Philadelphia Eagles front office as a personnel consultant. So how would you build your running back? Do you like him 5'10" or taller, or would you be open to a short, speedy, all-purpose player who wreaks havoc against the competition? Sproles was elected to the College Football Hall of Fame in 2021, and very well may be on his way to Canton one day for the NFL Hall of Fame. Like Football Fix videos? Smash that like button and subscribe for more football content. We'll see you next time.